So, I was thinking about like where all this need for perfectionism comes from and why I have to convince myself to do fun stuff. Like things that I consider fun, things that actually used to be hobbies for me. And it always stemmed from, well, that's not going to make you money, so you shouldn't do it. And I got that a lot growing up, where it's just like, if it doesn't make you money, why are you wasting your time doing it? And it's just like, am I not allowed to have anything fun? Like, that type deal. And while, like, a portion of the time my art wasn't necessarily discouraged, I guess, but it also wasn't, like, that encouraged either. Like, nobody really supported me in the way that, like, I hear, like, the healthier families and people supporting, because when I would do something, there would be just enough praise so that somebody could say that they like praised me. And this is just from my own memory and perception. It just seems like there was just enough praise to say that, to say that they weren't a heartless person, or I wasn't completely unsupported. But it didn't feel like it was supportive praise. It was more like an obligated type of praise. I can't fucking talk. And it was just like, I wasn't necessarily fully steered away from it, but at the same time, it was just like, it's a waste of time if you're not making any money, or like kind of convinced out of like going for it as a profession. Because with the art and stuff that I was doing, I was just starting out. And it was always like, it's good, but some of the criticism that I got for some of the things that I was doing, and some of the things I even said that I wanted to do, just felt off to me as a kid. But if I read into it and I actually expressed it verbally, then it was just like, oh no, you're crazy. You're just reading too much into it. You're not really hearing, you're hearing things wrong or whatever. You're not really hearing what I mean. And it's just like, I don't know, just something about it to me didn't seem quite right. And whenever I questioned it, it was a problem that I questioned it. And it frustrated the shit out of me, because then it's just like, now I feel like I'm being too sensitive about everything, like constantly. And when I hear about like other people's families, how they actually supported them, usually like maybe they didn't like buy them a whole bunch of like stuff that pertained to their, work or whatever it was that they wanted to do, but they like fully supported them. Like, oh, if you want to do, something like this, then, we'll just do our best to support you in, the ways that we can afford to. Like, it's not always, buying expensive art supplies and stuff like that. Sometimes it's like, okay, well, here are some models of like how people start getting into like any kind of art or painting or whatever. Like, here is how you learn how to shade, here's how you learn how to do all of that or whatever. Like, maybe like looking up some stuff, like, or offering some ideas. Oh, well, if you actually want to do this for a profession, then maybe we should try to get you to an art museum so that you can see like the art and like learn about the industry, or at least learn about the local art in the area, or something. Like, maybe it's not always about monetary stuff, but it's still like a level of support that I feel like I never got. Because when I actually started getting into like doing tarot cards, I did it for fun, because as a kid I was never allowed to touch things like that. it was considered evil and demonic and all of that shit. And so as soon as I had broken out of believing all of that shit, I got my own. I got my own cards. And I would work with them regularly until I figured out, what they all meant to me. Because the way they mean to me doesn't mean the same things as what everybody else would tell you. But one time, like, I'll never forget, one time I was, like, working with them, and I was just like, I got criticized for it, and I was just like, if I wanted to, this could be a job too. And they're like, well, it's not a job now. And it's just like, yeah, but if you actually gave a shit about supporting me, maybe you would actually let me, you would either actually support me by helping me find a way to, like, learn better, or volunteer to be a person that I learn with. Like, it would cost you absolutely fucking nothing to just sit here and let me read cards for you until I felt confident enough to actually turn it into something. Which, I kind of, like, nixed that as a thing anyway. But it's just like, it's really frustrating, because it's just like, just because you don't support what I do doesn't necessarily mean you have to sit here and tell me that because it's not making money that I shouldn't do it. And I've been convinced out of a lot of stuff throughout my life that way. Because when I was really young, I wanted to be an Olympic figure skater. But I was told that they start at 5 years old in order to do that stuff. So I didn't do that. Then I was like, okay, then I'll just be an Olympic swimmer. Same deal. It's always about, like, how much time. Okay, fine. I'll be a doctor. You have to go to school for 8 years. Okay, like, why does that matter? I'm, like, a kid. 8 years is, like, fucking nothing. Technically, but, whatever. And I was like, fine, whatever. You don't want me to be a freaking doctor? Fine. I'll, like, get into psychology. I'll become a psychiatrist or whatever. They only make money if they're in private practice, and they have to know people because private practice is really difficult to do on your own and all of that shit. It was always, like, some kind of fucking excuse. Oh, if you, do gymnastics, you're starting out with people who have done that shit since they were 5, so, you're, like, they usually start out at a very young age, and so you can't do that really. And plus, there's a lot of risk of injury and all of that junk. And I kept running into situations like that where there would always be an excuse on why I couldn't be what I wanted to be. And it's just like, and if I wanted to, like, be a freaking dancer, then that's not that's an unrealistic job. So was, being an artist, which that's all I ever did was fucking draw as a kid. Draw and read. When I did get into reading anyway. So it was really fucking frustrating, and my fucking whole life has been like that. And it got to the point where, like, if I couldn't be immediately good at it, good enough to make money, then I couldn't do it even for fun. And that shit really fucks me up. So yeah. That's it.